Hello everyone, welcome to Mugello and to Ferrari Challenge here in the Tuscan hills and mountains. As you can see, this wonderful backdrop to this 5.2 kilometer circuit, which is a real technical challenge, forgive the pun, for the drivers. This is where we are then, and within sight almost of the Alps, which are but a fair drive away, it has to be said. But when you fly in by plane over the Alps into either Bologna or Florence to come to this fantastic circuit, it kind of sets you up nicely for what is going to be an awesome weekend. 5.2 kilometers, 14 or 15 turns, depending upon how you count them, and a real technical challenge for our drivers, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, as the track awaits them in our Trofeo Pirelli cars from North America, from Europe, and also from Asia Pacific, about to take to the track for their qualifying session, which will set the grid for the first race to come this afternoon. The air temperature is currently 10 degrees. Track temperature has warmed up considerably. It's now 7 degrees because the Copa Shell session that was out earlier on found a moist track in places and really tested some of the drivers, and it didn't go without its pauses throughout the qualifying session, as various drivers found the level of the grip was not perhaps where they expected it to be. I think for this qualifying session, Nico, fingers crossed, it'll be a bit different.
Well, thanks for jinxing it. Yeah, I think that it is a fair assumption. In 2.5 minutes we will go qualifying, or actually the drivers will go out qualifying. We had 4 red flags across a half-hour session, including 3 of those within 1.5 minutes of net qualifying time. So make of that what you will. It was a very, very tense qualifying, especially towards the end, where a lot of drivers tried to get the quickest lap time, and an interesting golf cart among the very, very powerful 488 Challenge Evo machinery.
Forgive me interrupting you and cutting across you, which I do because we look at Nicolo Schiro, who coming into this weekend has said that, as we look at Podolicia as well, but Nicolo Schiro, the European Trofeo Pirelli Championship battle between himself and Michel Gassing, he has always said that actually the championship is not on his mind, it's not in his target, it's the world final races, which we will explain about, that come on Sunday. But Nicolo Schiro still mathematically can take the Trofeo Pirelli Championship.
Yeah, it is a mathematical proposition, however, because him having missed the first part of the season, he has been very, very consistent, very, very quick, and has almost maxed out his points.
Yeah.
But, you know, after you lose a few opportunities to score points, that puts you firmly behind the 8 ball. And Michel Gassing has it all under control. And let's see what Amanda Busick has for us in store. She comes from us from pit lane. Hello, Amanda.
Buongiorno, gentlemen, yet again. Now we're about to kick off the Trofeo Pirelli qualifying here. I counted there were 39 cars that are going to hit the track in this qualifying session, so a lot of traffic yet again. I was talking to a couple of the drivers prior to this session, and while we saw some of the intensity of the session come back to the very end in the shell class, I'm anticipating a lot of drivers to hit the track here early, looking for that best lap to try to avoid some of the issues that happened in the shell class. There was a lot of anxiety in the drivers, a lot of tensity as they got prepped to get in the car. I was looking at Thomas Neubauer, and you could tell he was having a heated conversation with his team. You can see how much this means to these drivers to put in a good lap here in qualifying.
I think you've nailed it, Amanda. Thank you. Delighted to welcome Amanda joining us across the course of the weekend, and will be live from the pit lane for us, bringing us all the information that she can, and she's veritably like a ferret in terms of getting the information.
Wow.
Don't mean that in a disrespectful way, Amanda, forgive me. It's a slap coming for me later. And interesting, as Thomas Neubauer, who is, as Amanda mentioned, having an argument perhaps with the team with regards to strategy when it comes to this qualifying, and he is a hugely aggressive racer, as we know, and hugely successful as well. Enzo Podolicio then for Ferrari of Central Florida, one of the many North American racers that join us across the course of this weekend as well. Delighted that they join us, as indeed a number of cars do. also from Asia Pacific also. So, of course, all the regions of the Ferrari Challenge represented. And Nicolo Schiro then, Rosso Corsa racer, who I've lost a count of how many wins he's had. He has taken across the course of this season. I think it's 6 or maybe 5. It is 6, actually, he's taken. And the only other 2 results were a P2 and a P4. So he is a man on a mission. Also on a mission, and forgive the ferret. There's Cooper McNeil. Forgive the ferret analogy, Amanda. You know I meant it in the most nicest way possible.
Oh, well, I asked for the camera back because I'm not offended by all. You can see my coffee right there. I found out that the Italians take their espresso very serious here. So that's why you get a ferret on pit lane here this weekend. But standing in between the 2 Podolikios, I got to tell you, Christian hit the track here for the first time all year long, and he has just done a stellar job. He's actually outpacing his dad, Enzo, who we know has been around this series for many decades. And just thinking of the inspiration between these two. I talked to Enzo earlier in the week. He was almost filled with tears at the excitement of seeing his son in the same livery on this track right here in Mugello, racing a Ferrari right in Italy.
It kind of doesn't get any better than that, does it? Really, it doesn't. So delighted to welcome them both here. And there you can see they're standing by. I love the design on the crash helmet. That is something very special, isn't it? Really looking forward to seeing them out on track, and delighted that they join us here and are with us this weekend. So, Nico, we are already into the qualifying session as we look at the son, Cristian Podolicchio, for Ferrari of Central Florida then, who has already, as Amanda said, done a stellar job out there. Let's get qualifying underway then. And the Trofeo Pirelli class is littered with huge talent. Brian Davis then for Ferrari of Palm Beach. And Brian, I remember having a conversation with right at the start of one of the first European lockdowns we had. We did a Zoom call together, and Brian is such an engaging guy to talk to. And he really takes pride in the livery across his 488 Challenge Evo. And I know my North American commentary colleague, Greg Creamer, has always said, you know, when you've got a blank canvas that is a 488 Challenge Evo and you can do something really nice with it, it's a great opportunity. And I think Brian's car looks absolutely stunning, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely. And so does his racing resume for this year.
Yes.
He leads the Trofeo Pirelli M2 class in North America. There is an M1 and M2 class in North America. He leads it by 8 points over Kaysin Chen. So that's one of the battles that we will be watching across this weekend, Friday and Saturday races, because that's one that's still very much up for grabs. To finish that thought, and you already mentioned the World Final race on Sunday, Friday and Saturday we decide the regional championships, and then on Sunday it's a one race dash for clash for glory for everything, all the marbles, just one race, and whoever wins that in Pirelli Am, Shell Am, is the world champion of 2021. So there is a double mission for these drivers. Finish the championship on a high and then go for it on Sunday. And qualifying times across today and tomorrow will be basically put together, and then that will determine who will be on pole position and where on the grid.
And that is for the World Final races. So there is an import then with regards to this qualifying session, not only for the grid place for the race to come this afternoon, but also the 2 qualies that are today and tomorrow for those races. Where you finish in those qualifying sessions also mandates where you will start in the gold group for the World Final races.
Exactly. So even if your championship drive is no longer on, you still have all the reason to go out and do the quickest qualifying time you can, because that puts you in the best possible position come Sunday's race.
So Brian Davis then has set a 1:53.369. Omar Jackson has just put in a time as well. This is Hanno Luskovski for the Riller and Schnauk team, driving car number 85. All the numbers at the moment are coming from Trofeo Pirelli and drivers from across North America and Europe as well. The best of the European drivers, Omar Jackson. Best of the North American drivers in Pirelli Am at the moment, Brian Davis. Hanno Luskovski's on a mission, though. As you can see, he's gone purple in Sector 1. He's got traffic ahead of him. Also out there on track, Thomas O'Rourke, Roger Grols, and Jason McCarthy as well. So if they're red drivers, they're from Europe. If they're blue drivers, they are from North America. I'm referring to the graphics that you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, which gives you our running tally, our order of who's doing what and when and where in this quali session. Hanno Laskowski's cumulative target time then is a 1:18.825, but he's got traffic ahead of him now in the shape of the number 97 car, but he's done another best, and now we've got a red flag.
Oh.
And that is Brian Davis. Brian Davis, he is in big time, Nico.
Indeed. Well, yeah, he dominated the early parts of this qualifying session, first with some great lap times, but certainly off the track and into the barrier. Hopefully, we will get a replay of that. Not a high-speed part of the track, so hopefully not too much of an impact and too much traffic. Yeah. Just a little bit off slide. I don't think that's going to be a huge impact. I think the gravel trap does what it does, and actually I don't think there is any impact at all.
I think you're right.
Very good, given the circumstances. No impact is certainly better than impact into the barrier, so he will be recovered and he will be able to continue in this qualifying session. But not entirely surprisingly, red flag also here. Now, with 24 minutes near on remaining, that doesn't affect strategy all that much yet.
No.
It's much more difficult towards the end of the session. But certainly it changes things for the drivers, especially those who've been out just now.
The whole dynamic. There's Thomas O'Rourke. So we were extolling the virtues of Brian Davis, of course, one of our North American racers, and he unfortunately has caused this red flag. Let's go live down to the pit lane. Amanda is with us once again.
There's a lot of implications there too, because Brian Davis is still in a points battle with Keeson Chin, and it would take some not finishing of races for Keeson to be able to catch up to Brian Davis, but definitely not what you want to see as they open up qualifying. But in terms of strategy, I did see a few cars add into the line here to hit the track as soon as this red flag is over. One of those being Cooper McNeil. I was able to chat with him this morning, and he's dominated in the North American Series, so it'll be fun to watch him here take the 15 turns of Mugello. But I asked him what he's been up to off the track, and he said he's been taking in all the pasta. So they've had to address some weight distribution in the race car this weekend. But I've been reassured there's no calories in the pasta over here, Dave. So I've had my fair share as well already.
Okay, Amanda, thank you. And interestingly, you're not finished your coffee yet. I'm surprised. But Cooper McNeil, who, of course, is hugely experienced here at Mugello because he's raced here several times. A wonderful, wonderful driver. But, of course, he's a big guy as well because he's very, very tall, 7'6". Cooper, you know I'm joking you, but he is a tall fella. But what Amanda was saying with regards to the battle between Brian Davis and Keeson Chin, of course, that will continue. Let's not lose sight of the European battle as well, which is, I have to say, in favour of Michel Gatting at the moment, but it ain't over until one rotund woman sings, as they say in the UK.
And that is not Michel Gatting.
Is absolutely not rotund in any way at all, nor for that matter is her competitor, Nicolo Schiro, nor is he a female, of course. Emanuele Tabacchi, Emanuele Maria Tabacchi. Of course, former champion in Ferrari Challenge, offering his words of advice to Nicolo Schiro there. Come on, translate that, Nico.
I think wishing him well, and no, I'm sorry, that's where my Italian ends, certainly. But you can see Emanuele Tabacchi. You know, it just underscores how this Ferrari paddock is a family, really. And good to see that. No information about when we will go back qualifying.
I don't think it's going to be a long stoppage.
No. And
10:41. There you go. Exactly a minute's time, Nico.
Well, there you go.
You have
just
the power.
Right on cue. Well, I wish I had.
Snap, you know.
No, in the Trofeo Pirelli Europe with Michel Gatting, it really would need 2 non-finishes by her. Nicolo Schiro winning 2 races, I think that's not the part which we would consider out of the question.
Sure.
But Michel Gatting, she's in a very, very strong position, and
she could have wrapped it up last round, and she was very frustrated at not so doing.
Yeah, indeed. Because, you know, she's a racing driver. She has seen so many things, and we have as well. So you never want to leave it to chance. Or when you can finish something, you want the job done. But it's not something that she will have to worry about. And, you know, once you get in the car, you just do the best. And she will be strategic in her driving. And in 1 second's time, strategic in qualifying are the cars who are filing out of pit lane. And
here they come now.
Being led, I think, by the Marco Pulcini car. There is Nicola Rossi, the 99 car. That is Omar Jackson from the UK, which is really good. I mean, we've got North America, Asia Pacific, UK, and Europe on the same grid.
But interestingly, Omar Jackson, credit to Omar, he chose to race in the European season all season long, didn't he?
Yeah.
Despite being a UK-based driver, and has put in very, very creditable performances, being coached by one Mr. Charlie Hollings, who has joined us on the air in the dim and distant. There's the new livery across the Roger Grohl's car, car number 77. Roger Grohl's, of course, being elevated to the Trofeo Pirelli class this year from his dominant Copa Shell championship winning season last year. And you can see all the drivers champing at the bit, trying to find the track space already as we go out and resume the qualifying session, which was curtailed on account of the fact Brian Davis found the gravel trap that kept the car out of the barriers. So notable names to watch out for in this qualifying session. Well, there's about 38 of them, to be honest with you. Some very, very strong drivers, including the driver of car number 263 that Amanda was talking about earlier on, and that is Cooper McNeil for Ferrari at Westlake. Hugely talented driver, has competed not only in the Ferrari Challenge but also in Le Mans as well. And he is just, you know, you want to put a driver in a car that's going to take the checkered flag, Cooper would be pretty high on your list, I would suggest.
Yeah, pasta powered.
Pasta power.
I don't really buy that weight distribution thing, but...
No, me neither.
No, he is such an experienced driver, and you mentioned it before, he has raced here in Mugello many times. Now, usually the North American drivers have a disadvantage in terms of... There we can see.
I'm just thinking, and forgive me pointing that out, you can see how the Brian Davis car has been put to a position of safety. I'm just wondering whether they're going to be able to get that back to the pit lane and whether actually Brian Davis's qualifying session will be over.
I think based on where that was, I don't think that he'll be able to take part.
No.
Maybe, you know, if there's another interruption of the session,
yes,
maybe he will be given that luxury. Otherwise, I think that's where it's going to stay for the next 21 minutes.
So his early banking of a time might be hugely, hugely beneficial for him. John Vortique for FML D2B. We see and run the clock on now. John Vortique, who of course was and has been hugely successful in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli this year. And actually, if memory serves me, took a home victory at Spa-Francorchamps. And John Vortique, another very, very talented driver. And one that you discount upon your peril, may I say. Oh, and you can see he was on a knife edge there, almost the back end of the car stepping out. Nicola Rossi has gone faster than anyone through Sector 1, and there he is as we zoom into the number 8 Kessel racing car. This is John Vortique. We're running the clock on both of them, and the one that is showing strong at the moment is Nicola Rossi, the Kessel driver who through Sector 1 was quicker than anyone. So we'll see what his cumulative time is when he crosses the timing line for Sector 2 and see how that compares. A 1:18.825 is the target then, and there's nothing I have seen to suggest that Sector 2 will be shabby, and it isn't. He is 4.7 seconds up on the previous best time of Brian Davis. So John Vortique shortcutting there, using all the curbs. Of course, the track has evolved, Nico, as you said it would. And even the perhaps more moist sections of painted curbs and such like have been dried out now. They've got rubber on them. And taking full advantage of that is Nicola Rossi, who I predict is going to break the timing beam and give us a new provisional pole position time of 1:53.095. 1:53.095. So he bests Brian Davis by some 2 3/4 tenths.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's very, very good driving from Nicola Rossi. We saw for John Mortigue that his time was disallowed due to a track limit infraction.
Ooh.
Now, in fact, it wasn't the pinnacle of his ability and the ability of the tires at that stage of his progression. So he's certainly going to have plenty of opportunities to improve on that. But we've seen better to bang it early than to be sorry late. And Hanno Laskovsky is also following that strategy. And as we can see, he has bested the Nicola Rossi time in time for another red flag.
And the reason is Faisal Al Faisal, one of the British drivers, is in the gravel. So, Amanda, here we go. It's second of our suspensions for this qualifying session. What do you say about that?
Well, Dave, you guys were talking about Brian Davis as able to catch up with Eric Bachelard back there, who's overlooking this situation. They do not anticipate that that car is going to be able to resume qualifying, so it's good that Brian went out there and put out the lap that he did. That's back to the strategy that we were talking to with the drivers early. They saw the session ahead of us. They saw what happened in Copichelle, so I'm sure Brian is a little relieved with that, but you have to imagine the anxiety for him, because as we look forward to race one later on here today, I have to imagine what's going through his mind. He probably wanted a little more seat time in that Ferrari this morning as we anticipate the first race here at Mugello.
Thanks, Amanda. Your input, valuable, worthy, and a delight to welcome. Whoa, it was a big offer, Faisal. Faisal Al Faisal, then, as I was mentioning, he's one of the UK racers, took a P3 in race 2 at Snetterton. He's filled the bottom of the car with gravel now. But Faisal Al Faisal will be back out again, I'm sure, if they can recover. Where did Faisal go off? Heading towards turn 12, I think. And you can see the wheel tracks through gravel that have been the gravel traps have been tested, that's for sure, not only in the qualifying sessions, but just before we got this quali session underway. Some of our wonderful F1 clienti were out in their cars, which sound awesome, and even one of those went off as well. Right, with the sun shining and Mugello as a backdrop, please enjoy with Nico and me our drone show. So the drone show, the musical accompaniment, appropriately named also. So we are ready to get back with this qualifying session. There's Michelle Gatting in car number 83. Behind her is Luca Nurmi and Nicolo Schiro as well. And Frederick Palsson begins to join this queue of cars making their way out of the pit lane now. We're on board with Nicolo Schiro then. Trofeo Pirelli driver, 5 wins he has taken so far this season. And this is Enzo Podolicchio then on board with him as well. Some of the fantastic onboard shots that we can bring you in the Ferrari Challenge, and thrilled to be able to do that. Thrilled that you're joining us here live for what is an awesome qualifying session. What are we up to now? 2 in this one? The red flags I'm talking about, Nico.
Yeah, okay. Look at the board. Yeah, it's 2 red flags and 17.5 minutes remaining. And was that Cooper McNeil dicing up the drivers in front of him?
Talking of dicing, the drone show was really interesting. You notice the power and speed the drone has got. It almost wiped someone out, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I hope you have insurance for that. But it's all professionals, and you saw some of the great machinery that's on display here in the area at the in that large temporary building in the backdrop of that shot.
May I mention, whilst we're talking about that the a visit to Maranello is a must. And if you go to Maranello, you cannot not go to the Ferrari Museum. Absolutely incredible, where you can see Enzo's former office desk and everything. But actually, the Ferraris that have been so successful in the World Endurance Championship this year, I am told that they are very soon going to be on display, or some of those cars are going to be on display in the museum. You know, like you needed another reason to go because there are just so many. But they are going to, the World Championship winning cars are going to be displayed in the museum as well. This is Michelle Gatting then, just weaving from side to side, generating some temperature. Feisty racer, and I've said it so many times in the past. I've known Michelle for a lot of years and across a lot of racing, and I have to say she has been as hugely impressive in the Ferrari Challenge as I expected her to be. And well, by dint of her P1 in the Trofeo Pirelli Championship at the moment, I suspect it's what she would have demanded of herself as well.
Yeah, definitely. She doesn't enter anything. He's in it to win it, and she's certainly shown that. We can see that her teammate Dorian Pin is following her in a very similar livery. One might almost say identical. The Iron Lynx Scuderia Nicky team, and there is Thomas Neubauer and his French tricolor colored 488 Challenge Evo, kicking up a little bit of dust and some more as he went through that turn.
Yeah, he was pushing it on the limit then, wasn't he, as we saw one of our racers in the number 39 car. Thomas Neubauer, mate, Sector 1 and Sector 2, both purples. He's on it.
Absolutely. He's one of those who got out of pit lane first, and he is pushing. Now, he's going to be the first Pirelli driver that is going to give us a meaningful time, I think.
Yeah.
As he rounds the final turn and then gets on the loud pedal, pushing it across the line. I think the next lap will be even better, but this is one that's already going to trouble the top times as they stand at a 1:51.476. That's 1.5 seconds quicker than the next fastest time overall, and took like 9 seconds out of the previous best Pirelli time.
Cooper McNeil was not going to be bothered then by the lights flashing from Christian Brunsborg.
And he was Neubauer time for a long time. There he is, a 1.6 seconds quicker, the 263 car.
And it's the first sub 150 time that we've seen. It was a 1:49.858 from Cooper McNeil. Our best of the AM drivers is Christian Brunsburg with a 151.603, followed by Roman Zimian. Cooper McNeil's on another hot one here with the purple sector in Sector 1, so he's even looking at a potential improvement on
him go through the lowest part of the track and then back up the hill through Arrabbiata 1 and Arrabbiata 2. The second part of the circuit, that's Sector 3, very winding and twisty, before it then gets onto that very final turn and back out onto the home straight. Another battle that we have about is the battle in the Pirelli M class in Europe, which rages between Sergio Paulet and Christian Brunsburg. And Christian Brunsburg, who has some catching up to do, is on his way, as he's currently P1 in the AMs, P3 overall, so he's doing what he can do. Sergio Paulet currently way down the order, P16 overall, P14 in class, but he has something left, I'm sure.
You're right. And to add some text to the story with regards to Christian Brunsburg, he's been really competitive all season long, and then kind of middle to end of the season he's had some real bad luck, hasn't he? Which is why he's in that catch-up position. And Sergio Paulet, who's just been consistent.
And it's his first year racing.
Absolutely, for the Santigor Madrid MST team, he's done really well. Here comes Luca Nurmi. He's looking quick as well, with overall best in Sector 1 and Sector 2. And Luca Nurmi then now goes provisional P1 with a 149.653, having taken a full 2/10 out of Cooper McNeil.
Yeah, when the season started in Monza, he was the youngest ever driver to compete in the Ferrari Challenge, and he's certainly left his mark. There is Michel Gatting.
Oh, getting a bit of a tank slapper on there, Nico.
Sideways moment all the way into the gravel, just barely kept it together. Now, we said it, she has all under control, but this is exactly one of those moments that she really doesn't want to invite. As you can see, currently P25 at the very bottom of the timing chart to the left-hand side. Now, that's no reason for concern yet, obviously, and we haven't even seen Nicolo Schiro doing anything significant thus far.
Now, this is interesting for me, Nico. There's Cooper McNeil out of the car. And Luca Nurmi having a sideways moment as well on his quest to improve still further. Now, Sector 1, he was quicker than anyone once again, but I think his Sector 2 will be compromised by that drifting moment. I'm very surprised with 10.5 minutes of the session remaining to see Cooper McNeil seemingly parking the car. Now, Luca Nurmi knows that his Sector 2 time was going to compromise the rest of the lap, so rather than take too much out of the tyres, he's chosen to bail that lap and will go again, Luca Nurmi, for Formula Racing. So Cooper McNeil out of the car, that surprises me, Amanda.
To look at his team, you can say if you can peer inside the car, he looks calm, cool, and collected, but they're ready to put down a lap here. I imagine in any second you're going to see this Ferrari pull off to hit the track and put out of time.
Thank you, Amanda. So Nicolo Schiro then, who is getting ready to get out on track, and here come the two Iron Lynx cars then of Michel Gatting, and Michel Gatting does a 149.653, which gives her second fastest time. So it's Luca Nurmi who's still P1, then it's Michel Gatting, then it's Cooper McNeil, then it's Frederick Paulsen. As we see some cars exceeding track limits and having times taken away, and we still await seeing a time from Nicolo Schiro, Nico.
Yeah, I mean, Nicolo Schiro has been super efficient in qualifying this year. It was usually get out, 2 very quick lap times, which were enough for a pole or near on pole position, and then that was it. But especially after what we've seen thus far today in terms of red flags and the very packed grid, him still being in there with 9 minutes remaining and knowing that you generally need 2 laps to get the tires up to temperature, I think that's a big risk, to be honest, but he and his team, the Rosso Corso team, will know better. Because obviously it's not only about the championship for today and tomorrow, it's also about setting the best possible quality time for the world final on Sunday, and that's his declared goal this weekend.
Michel Gatting has taken a 100th and a third out of Luca Nurmi's cumulative time. So Michel Gatting is on another quick one here. Nicolo Schiro surprises us by not, he's on his way out now. Also, Luca Ludwig has not made his way out of the pit lane yet for Octane 126, which surprises me. And Michel Gatting, she looks like she's bailed this lap, Nico. Yes, she was on two better than anyone's sectors.
Yeah, definitely, but maybe there was some traffic that we just didn't catch at that moment.
Maybe.
Yeah, so it's Luca Ludwig, who's still in the pit lane. Nicolo Schiro, he is on his out lap. John Botique also hasn't set a meaningful lap time yet, so there is still drama to come. Sergio Paulet, meanwhile, and there he is just on cue.
He's warming up, isn't he?
Put it on second in class, so second of the M's in Europe.
Yep.
He's still 3-4 positions behind Christian Brunsberg on the track itself.
I think having banked the lap he has, he's on a warm-up now to go again. So Sergio Paulet, discount him at your peril. He takes the shortcut into the pit lane, Nico.
Yeah, and that with 7.5 minutes, that I'm not sure if he is going to go for another one. Now, obviously, he has a points advantage. He can be defensive and be careful about it, but obviously you don't want to lose any points.
Sure.
You'd like to get the job done today if you can. So drama certainly building here in the Trofeo Pirelli AM in Europe. Cooper McNeil ends up to lead to the best of the North American drivers.
This is Dorian Pin that we watched them for Scuderia Nicky Iron Links, as Nico said, absolutely identical livery to that of Michel Gatting. And this is the number 21 car, or was the 21 car of Hugo Delacour. So Luca Nurmi then, for the moment, is untroubled, and I don't think this lap is going to trouble Luca Nurmi from Michel Gatting, because Sector 2 wasn't where it needed to be. Sector 1 was a good one, and ironically the car right behind Michel Gatting is that of Luca Nurmi, who is currently the fastest driver on a 1:49.653 as we go back down to the pit lane, and Amanda Busick.
Well, we're down with Cooper McNeil. We had talked about how he was already out of the car. How happy are you with your qualifying effort so far?
Yeah, fairly happy. So far, so good. I left a little on the table there, a couple tenths, which is actually the gap to the pole after the wreck yesterday that I had. But no, the guys did a good job getting the WeatherTech Ferrari back together. So happy with the setup and pretty happy with the time considering the time I left on the table.
What are you anticipating for race 1?
Well, it's like we have 3 World Final races, one today, one tomorrow, one on Sunday. So with all the cars that are going to be on track today, it should be busy. Should see some good hard racing, hopefully some clean racing.
Well, Dave, Nico, if Cooper left a little on the table there, the competitors should be alarmed with that.
I think you're right there, Amanda, and Cooper always got the opportunity, and he's always got something in store. Great driver is Cooper, delighted that he's with us this weekend as Michel Gatting then. He's in the pit lane, and she'll be satisfied with the 1:49.708 relative to where Nicolo Schiro is, which at the moment is nowhere. And we have, is that Francois Lansard?
Indeed, and that's Nicolo Schiro nightmare scenario, and because that car is going to bring out a red flag, and
there it is.
4 minutes 57 seconds. That's Florian Merckx, who did drive the number 88 car, which is not driving it today. That's Francois Lansard, and yeah, just overcooked it into turn 1, and the gravel bed awaits, beckons, and 4 minutes 57 seconds, and Nicolo Schiro, he has to dive back into pit lane, will try to get as far up the queue as he somehow can. And then, like in Copper Shell qualifying earlier today, it's going to be a sub 5 minute dash for cash towards the end. Again, I think Nicolo Schiro is aware that the championship in the European Trofeo Pirelli is more theoretical than realistic.
And okay, I accept that, and I apologize for interrupting you. His goal, his aim, has always been, and he's always said this, he's broadcast it, my aim is the world final race on Sunday. Qualifying today plays a part in where he will sit on the grid for that world final race.
Well, it is the best time across the 2 sessions, so, you know, even if he doesn't set a time today, with the fastest time tomorrow, he can still do it, but obviously that's half the chance gone.
Yeah.
And let's say the potential drop is significant. If things go awry tomorrow, he would start from the very back of the grid, and that, as good as a driver as he is, I mean, that's not something he could overcome. Sergio Paulet, he looks pretty satisfied with where he is.
Sure.
Just not to say that he's satisfied to stay where he is.
No, he'll try and improve, won't he?
But Nicolas Guerra, I think that's going to be one of the main storylines for the rest of the qualifying session once we get underway again. Can't quite see his car in shot. Maybe he is part of that queue already, or certainly he will queue up as far up the order as he can.
Thomas Neubauer is wanting to go again, isn't he? And Thomas Neubauer, you see, where once he was right at the top end of the chart, he's now P5 in class, P6 overall.
And Thomas Neubauer obviously has a special ambition about the World Finals on Sunday, because he won the World Final race outright on the track
yes.
in March, because the World Final from 2020 due to the pandemic was held March 2021. He won the race on track, he was dominant, and then his car was found to be non-conformant to regulations and therefore was stripped of the title. So if anybody has a special motivation for Sunday to set things right in his mind, that is him. And I think that's Thomas Aroka explaining, thank you for the graphics, for proving me right once in a while. I mean, the name's on the helmet. I could have taken the cue from that, but yeah. So Thomas Neubauer, it's his mission on Sunday to get that title that was taken away from him in March, and it's gonna be difficult for him to get up into pole position. I would say he's currently P6, but he's less than a second down, so there is still a chance for him. Enzo Podeliccio and Tommaso Aroca.
Very animated. Very
good time.
Yeah. So the session is going to get underway in around about 50 seconds from now, or get underway. It's going to resume. Roman Simian. And out of the car, we still have a number of cars, though, that are queued up in the pit lane, ready to go out. And, yeah, very, very exciting fight to the finish and dash for the cash, as Nico would describe it, as we're going to have less than 5 minutes on the clock, Amanda.
Sitting next to Michelle Gatting, who was looking over her sector times and looking over times on a cell phone. And Michelle, at this point, how satisfied are you with the laps that you're pulling so far?
Oh, well, I'm not very satisfied. I mean, FP1 and FP2, I was by far the fastest. Not that I came into qualifying knowing I would be the fastest, but the lap was definitely not good enough from my side. And I know I could have improved, but by then the tires were already gone. It was a shame, but for me, but maybe good for some of the others.
At this point, Michelle's going to stay in as we go green here again in qualifying, but you are the points leader. You are the one with the bullseye on your back. Are you feeling that here this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the one to beat this weekend. There's no doubt about that as championship leader. But yeah, let's see. I mean, there are some strong competitors out there, and we're just going to focus just on the race. If we are up there in the front row for the race, it's all fine, but it will be a tough one, but hopefully it's done after the first race.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Well, Michelle telling us her thoughts and exactly as she sees it, and her FP performances, as she rightly said, were outstanding. And for whatever reason, she's not been able to get the best out of the car today. And as she said, after her fastest lap, which was a 1:49.708, and I remind you that's second fastest. Said the tyres were gone. There was no more coming out. So someone that has come out again is Thomas Neubauer, and there you can see the number 6 car of the Charles Pozzi Courage team of Thomas Neubauer, who's currently 6th fastest overall, 5th within class.
Yeah, and I'm a bit surprised that we have only, like 10 drivers who have come out of pit lane thus far. I would have expected a few more. Now, as you would expect, towards the bottom of the timing screen, there are a lot more cars who went out again to improve. Those towards the front, more comfortable with their position, with the exception of Thomas Neubauer and Frederick Paulsen, the only one from the top 15 who've come out again. So they feel potentially like they have some margin towards the front still in the car. 3 minutes remaining. That means Thomas Neubauer has one more lap, which is going to be a very, very quick second out lap, already a competitive one. And then certainly the third one is going to be where his main focus will be to improve. And the next car behind him is Nicolo Schiro. So he has a lot of track space, actually, which will work in his favor. Don't bet against him to do something very meaningful come the end of this session.
I agree with you. So, 2.5 minutes remaining on the clock now. We're watching Thomas Neubauer, the Charles Pozzi garage driver then, who is currently the 5th fastest within class. So, Thomas Neubauer, the target time is on 37.4. He's off that. Look, he's 0.4 down just through Sector 1. So, I think leading to exactly what you were alluding to, Nico, and that is it's not necessarily going to be this lap as he has to save it from the gravel. Just carried too much speed. He's got the car back together again and pointing in the right direction. Not that it was ever pointing in the wrong direction, but it's oh so could have been were it not for his deft skill at being able to hold on to the car. Has that impacted or affected Thomas Neubauer? I don't think so.
No, not necessarily, but
not Thomas Neubauer, Nicolo Schiro.
No, Nicolo Schiro, I think not. Certainly first sector was a purple one. Quickest overall, and there you can see, and we'll get the second sector time in but a moment. 1:11.230, that is purple as well. He is going for it. He is gonna do everything that he wanted to. It is still a perilous position, but once he gets it across the line, it is P1. That is gonna be mission accomplished part 1, because that will put him in a great position for Sunday already. And everything that happens today is a bonus as far as he's concerned.
So rounding the final turn now comes Nicolo Schiro. Sector 1 and Sector 2, both quicker than anyone. 1:49.653 is the provisional pole time. However, it stays it. He lost time in the third and final sector. So 1:49.804 means that the best Nicolo Schiro could do is currently third fastest. He's going to go again.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Didn't quite see where he lost that time. But he will be aware that he's avoided disaster, but he's not where he wants to be. So he's going to go again. We're also watching Luca Ludwig, who is still very much at the bottom of the timing screen. No longer. He has put in a first reasonable time.
Yeah, and he's put it 6th fastest, hasn't he, with a 1:55.60, and will have the opportunity to go again. Nicolo Schiro, it is now or never, because it's only this lap that Nicolo Schiro has got left. Because as you can see, we're down to the final 3 seconds of this qualifying session. Oh, and Schiro, he makes a mistake, very, very rare, just runs out a little bit wide. That's done the lap, Nico.
Well, it looks like it, and I don't think he's
not even trying now.
No, I think that's it, and he'll be mad about that, because it didn't look like it was necessary. I think he tried to get as much of a slingshot. Easy for us to say that.
Of course.
But just went a little bit too wide, and once the wheel dips into the gravel, that really unsettles the car and the momentum. And you know, he tried to max out the momentum he could get through there.
Yep, you're right.
It's just that little bit over the top. Luca Nomi, pole position.
Well done, Luca.
Well done, Luca. And
look, there he is.
There he is, yeah. You reckon he's happy?
He looks pretty good about that, and Christian Brunsburg looks on. So Luca Nomi, pole position, Amanda.
Luca celebrating with your team, and for the 3rd time this season, you will take the pole position here in Mugello. And when you look at the performance that you had, you got this by 500th of a second. Where did you find that performance?
Yeah, it was a really tight race. We did some setup changes from yesterday, and it seems to be good. So yeah, I'm super happy with that result.
I saw you come out of the garage. You had a big smile on your face. You were up there celebrating with your team. Why is this so meaningful to you?
It's so important to me because I had a little bit difficult races these last 2 races, Spa and Nürburgring, except Nürburgring win. But yeah, after them, it feels so amazing.
Look forward to the race. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Whoa, get in there. Get in there. Very happy indeed. Well done, Luca Nomi. He is such a likable individual. And actually, when I think you told us earlier on in the program when he started the season was the youngest ever competitor in the Ferrari Challenge, and just look what he can deliver. He's just got outright speed and pace, hasn't he? And big hair.
Absolutely. As we look at the results of this qualifying session, just to wrap you up on some of the other championship drives, Christian Brunsberg, as you can see, he is P1 in the European M class. Sergio Paulet, P2, so that's 1 point shaved off the difference.
May I big up Christian and Enzo Podeliccio as well in the AMs for North America, P1 and P2.
Absolutely. And in the Pirelli M2 in North America, there you can see Brian Davis, who was so quick at the beginning, but then wasn't able to finish the session. Kazin Chan, who is the chasing man there, he has taken pole position in class, so also there 1 point less. 7